Okay, so I'm on my personal account on Facebook. This is the first time I've ever gone Facebook Live. This is my first ever Facebook Live. Okay?
You can do it on the Lucas fan page, too.
Okay, you can do it on the Lucas fan page. This is on my personal.
Morgan, our web girl, will be mad at us if we don't.
Okay, so we're going Facebook Live. My brother Alex is in the studio. And a lot of people think that in our family, because I've done a morning show all over the country, that I'm the talented one in the family. But the truth be told, my brother Alex is the talented one in our family. And you're about to hear why. Okay, are you ready? So I told you he's all about cartoons, TVs, and movies. I'm just going to rattle off random things, and you're going to hear the impression and then the actual lines from the movie. Are you ready?
Okay.
Alex, are you ready?
I think so.
All right, let me face this over to Al. All right, give me Bugs Bunny and Little Red Riding Hood from Saturday morning cartoons.
Da! 5 o'clock whistles on the blink and my papa's at work so I ain't. And he's still in the factory cause he doesn't know what time it means to me.
And then
Yeah, what's in the basket, gorgeous? I'm taking this bunny rabbit for my grandma to have, see? It's got a nice pair of stems for a rabbit. Yeah, it's got a cute face too, see?
I love it. Okay, now we're gonna switch gears. Go from that to Droopy the dog. Listen, watch this.
Mr. Dragon, do you know what? I am gonna slay you.
Love it. Now, what about Sylvester the cat? Remember the Sylvester cat from Saturday morning?
Oh, Father. Oh, the shame of it all. How can I ever show my face again? Now, wait a minute, son.
It just cracks me up to watch him do like cartoons. A grown man that does a lot of cartoons. All right, what about Shaggy and Scooby?
Like, hey, Scoob Man, was that ghost scary? Yeah, scary.
That's great. Okay, what about movies, like cartoon movies, like Aladdin? Give me something from Aladdin, the movie.
Calm yourself, Iago. The obviously Gazin was less than worthy.
Oh, there's a big surprise. I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise. What are we gonna do? We got a big problem here.
Yes. Only one may enter. We must find this one, this diamond in the rough.
So he knows like all the words, like he knows the lines. It's not that he does these great impressions. He knows the lines for the movie. Dude, I've never seen Beauty and the Beast, but Kareth, you've seen it.
That's my favorite.
Okay, so Kareth knows Beauty and the Beast. Give us something from Beauty and the Beast.
Wow, Gaston, you're the greatest hunter in the whole world. No beast alive stands a chance against you. No girl, for that matter.
It's true, LeFou, and I've got my sights set on that one.
The inventor's daughter? Yeah, but she's...
The most beautiful girl in town, and that makes her the best. And don't I deserve the best?
Well, yeah, but...
Can you say, stay out of the West Wing? Do you do that one?
Oh, sure. There's a stranger here. What are you doing here?
Please, I meant no harm. I lost my horse.
What the heck are you guys doing? I don't know that movie. All right, last one. So now we're in the movie thing. This is the last thing. So I got 3 movies that I want you to do. First, do Mrs. Doubtfire, because you do a great Mrs. Doubtfire. Ready?
Oh, dear, I saw the whole thing. It was run by Fruiting the terrorists. They ran that way, dear. Oh, it's so sad.
Now give me a Rain Man, Babbitt. What's his name? Raymond Babbitt. Give me Raymond Babbitt.
Yeah, 82, 246. 246 toothpicks. Yeah. We're counting cards.
Just random.
We're counting cards.
Just random stuff. All right, last one. Waterboy.
I'm counting cards.
Give me a good Waterboy.
That was definitely your tongue in my mouth. You should go now, because Mama's going to wake up.
Mama said, I love it. So there it is, my first Facebook Live proving that the talent in my family, it's not me, it's my brother Alex.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Okay, so today I am going to actually talk about a few things. First of all, I want to show you some new pictures that I came across, and I'll just kind of have those as the visuals throughout the video. And I want to play you a part of this interview with Nancy Grace and Julie Rowe that I found kind of interesting. And then also I wanted to show you these new court documents about the preliminary hearing. Okay, so good news. And then as I'm showing you the pictures, I am going to read you something kind of interesting about, I don't know if you remember a video I did a couple videos ago about Lori's friend April saying that Tylee was always sick growing up. So I'm gonna read you something interesting about that. Okay, but real quick, I want to first read you the court documents about the preliminary hearing for Chad and Lori Daybell. The April 22nd, 2020 Idaho Supreme Court order and re-emergency reduction in court services and limitation of access to court facilities states that all court proceedings are to be held remotely via teleconferencing or video conferencing. Additionally, the order states that a presiding judge may, in the exercise of discretion and after making findings on the record, determine that a proceeding must be held in person because of the court's needs or to prevent undue prejudice to a party. Pursuant to this order, the court makes the following findings. The defendant has a right to be present during the preliminary hearing. The defendant has a right to confront and cross-examine witnesses in person. In order to preserve an adequate recording of the proceeding and to preserve the defendant's rights, the defendant must be present in the courtroom with her attorney. The courtroom where the hearing will take place is large enough to provide for the required social distancing of all those whose attendance is required or permitted. Protective plexiglass has been installed along the bench and the witness stand to protect the health of hearing participants. The court has issued an order governing courtroom conduct dated July 8, 2020 for the preliminary hearing and future hearings to further provide safety and public access measures. The administrative district judge has issued an administrative order governing courthouse conduct dated July 7, 2020 to further provide safety and public access measures. Accordingly, the preliminary hearing scheduled on August 10th and 11th will be held in person. So that's actually good. I'd rather see it in person, to be honest, than watching it in that Zoom. It just seems so impersonal. Maybe because we're just used to, having court in person, even though I'm not going to be there in person. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like I prefer having everybody there. Well, it's more of a personal experience that I feel like that's an important factor for the jury to be there, for the defendant to be there, and the witnesses and stuff, because when you do it behind a screen, I feel like I don't know, I feel like you feel more accountable for what you're saying when you're right there with everybody. And I just think it makes for a more honest feel. Like, I feel like it would just, I don't know, I just think it's going to be better. I'm just glad that they're doing it in person like that. I think it's good that they get to cross-examine and, ask the questions in person to the witnesses and the defendant and stuff like that. I'm sure they're not going to let the public in, though. But, they televise it so we could all watch it, and then they could just do it how they normally do it, how they've been doing it for years, and being able to be there in person. So that's good. I was wondering how they were going to do that. I'm like, man, I hope they do it in person rather than the Zoom. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty good news because nobody could... I don't know. I feel like the whole Zoom thing, that might be calls for like a retrial or something where they could use that as an excuse or something. So Lori's little sneaky ways about her, she'd try to find some reason where it wasn't fair because it was on Zoom or something. So anyway, so that's good. And then let me play you that clip I was talking to you guys about with Nancy Grace and Julie Rowe.
And then I came back to Rexburg to do some work and wanted to stop by. And Chad told me not to, that Tammy had been off of her antidepressant medications. She was irritable. And his words were that she was struggling with jealousy and it would be best if I didn't come over. I honored that. I never talked to Tammy about it because I didn't want to get involved in their marriage issues.
When was the last time you spoke to Tammy Daybell?
The last time I saw her, she was sitting on a love seat with Chad, his hand on her leg and his arm around her, or they were holding hands the whole time. They were affectionate with each other. She actually looked really, really good. This might kind of sound weird, but she looked better than I'd ever seen her in the time that I knew her.
Did she, Tammy Daybell, know Chad Daybell predicted she would die?
To my knowledge, as of the summer of 18, I was the only person that knew, other than another woman in Arizona, that Chad had been texting before he met Lori.
Okay, so there's a few interesting things that she said. First of all, I didn't even know that Tammy was on antidepressants. I mean, that's the first we heard that. So, I mean, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But let's say that is true. She was off for antidepressants. What if the reason she was off for antidepressants was another one of Chad's visions, like you're supposed to be off your antidepressants? Like he tells her he has some vision about something about the antidepressants for her to get off. I mean, couldn't you see him saying that, using it for his own gain somehow, maybe for some kind of reason for him to blame her for her moodiness and her, her mood basically. So therefore it could be an excuse for him to go out and be with Lori. Like he could blame it all on her. Like, look, look how you're acting. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, he uses these vision things to get what he wants, and it just makes you wonder, number one, if she really was on antidepressants, and why would she have came off of them? It seemed like Chad probably had a lot of power and control in their marriage, so it makes you think that he had something to do with her coming off of them. And that could just be another way to control the situation and to control her, blaming her for everything. So then she feels guilty for the way she was acting because, you are going to be moody coming off antidepressants. So then she'll feel like maybe some kind of guilt, like, oh my God, I have been mean to him. I don't know. Who knows? I just think it's kind of interesting. But I do want to discuss this a little bit more in a live. I don't want to ramble on too much in this video because I have a habit of doing that, but we will discuss all this stuff in a live. Hopefully this weekend or the beginning of next week, we could discuss all this stuff. Okay, so let me read you this Guardian report from, actually somebody emailed me this, but it looks like it's from the channel WTAF, Wicked Truths and F-Bombs, which... that's Danielle over there. She actually came on a live one time, so she's really nice. So I noticed that the watermark on the back of it was that WTAF. So I was like, oh, that's Danielle. So I'm just going to read you what this says. It's pretty interesting. If you remember that Nancy Grace clip that I showed you where she was talking to April, Lori's friend, about Tylee always being sick. And then that's what that made me think of when I was reading this. So let me read this to you. So it says, I was appointed by Judge Dietz as the second guardian ad litem for Tylee Ryan in the midst of this highly dramatic and emotional custody suit in late July of 2007. At that time, Tylee was approximately 3 years of age. There were multiple temporary hearings prior to the final jury trial that produced the order signed in February of 2008. This case remained under court review for many months after the initial order was signed, and during that time, the highly dramatic nature of the case continued, involving multiple mental health professionals and several attorneys. In that same period of time, Tylee, now age 6, was diagnosed with pancreatitis, having had 2 episodes requiring hospitalization between February of 2008 and now. I suspect her medical and emotional state has been adversely affected by the sustained level of conflict in the many trials and legal proceedings in this case. During the summer of 2008, I began asking the court to appoint an amicus attorney for Tylee. Connie Job was appointed by Judge Livingston in October of 2008. Miss Job spent a great deal of time speaking with the mental health professionals and reviewing the history of the case. Neither parent would pay her for her services, so the court allowed her to be dismissed in December 2008. I do understand that the parents have incurred a horrific amount of debt due to this litigation. However, Mr. Ryan has now filed a motion to modify to be determined by a jury. The guardian ad litem's rule does not include the ability to file motions or ask pertinent questions regarding the best interest of the child. I believe that Tylee's emotional well-being has not been fully examined or explained to the court. Since February of 2008, there have been far too many legal machinations and emergency hearings filled with accusations of abusive or neglectful behavior to benefit Tylee. The guardian ad litem does not have the right to subpoena witnesses, question witnesses, or fully represent the best interest of the child in this ongoing high conflict case. Tylee is in need of a legal advocate. I am asking the court to consider relieving the current guardian ad litem role and appoint a skilled family law attorney, experienced in representing children, to represent Tylee in an effort to refocus and effectively address her welfare in any future legal proceeding before this court. Respectfully submitted. So yeah, I watched that video, then I went to her channel, I watched that video, and it goes over the court documents between Lori Vallow and Joseph Ryan, and the accusations that Colby made against Joseph Ryan, and how they think he may have been coached and she was trying to pressure Tylee into doing it, and then the custody battle over Tylee. And also it said in the documents how that sometimes Tylee's sicknesses were exaggerated so she didn't have to go to her dad's. They would use her sickness as an excuse for her not to go spend time with her dad when it was his time to be with her. There was some instances of that, so I don't know, it's just crazy stuff. So who knows? I mean, I'm sure she did have some illnesses, probably brought on by all the stress too. I mean, she's a child and Lori's using her as a pawn basically for the divorce to get what she wants out of the divorce. They said she was trying to pressure her to say stuff, whether it's true or not. Who knows? But she never did accuse Joseph of doing anything, but her mom just kept trying to push her and push her. And I personally, my opinion, I don't think he abused any of them. I really don't. I think it was Lori trying to use that for her benefit, which is sad. In the long run, she could have possibly created false memories for Colby and Tylee. But Colby, whether he was abused or not by Joseph, he may really think he was. He was, you know, a young kid, and he was being possibly told this stuff was going on over and over in his head. It could have, I wanted to actually do a video just on false memories. Now, I don't want to do it in this video, but it could have created some false memories where he actually believes that happened now. I mean, I don't know if it did or didn't, but those court documents between Lori and Joseph and pertaining to Colby and Tylee's custody and Colby's accusations. Wow, there's so much stuff I want to look through them again. There's just so many things to look through and to really think about, like, did it happen? I don't know. I mean, it could have happened, but you kind of have to go through all the documents and look at all the possibilities and consider all the possibilities, because you can't just accuse somebody that can't defend themselves unless you have the evidence to back it up. So go through the facts, go through the evidence. And what I have seen so far and what the evidence is showing is that Joseph Ryan did not do these things that Colby said that he did do them. Just from the evidence and the documents from the investigation that they did into Joseph Ryan. The evidence pointed that they were just accusations, that there was no factual basis to back what he was saying up, but there was a lot of evidence showing deception and some reasons for why they were saying that he did it, why Colby was saying that he did it, why Lori was trying to get them to say that he did it. I don't know. I think that Colby, I don't know. I just don't think that Joseph abused Colby in that way that he's accusing him of abusing him. And what those documents said that Colby said he did to him, I don't believe that for some reason. And I don't know if you remember when Colby first came out and said that on that Dateline, my first impression was I didn't believe him. I didn't believe what he was saying. I don't know if you remember, I did a live and there was just something about the whole situation that just didn't seem right. And I'm not saying that he even knows that he's deceiving everybody, if he even is, because if he has these false memories, something about the situation and the way it was presented, it just didn't, something was off. So yeah, we'll talk about that maybe in a live, and I do want to cover that in a whole video, not in this video because there's so much, but I just want to make a point to say whether it was true or not, what Colby claimed of Joseph, it's not Colby's fault whether or not he made that claim. He was a kid. He didn't know he was doing what his mom told him to do. Okay, back to that Guardian ad litem report for Tylee that I was talking about. So this is saying, you know, this does kind of explain some of her sicknesses. Well, pancreatitis, which could have had her feeling bad a lot. So, and then, like I was saying, that maybe some of it was exaggerated for Lori's benefit. And then some was probably just the stress. So poor kid going through this with her mom, and just her mom using them as pawns, you know, it sounds like. But it's just kind of sad that in this document, neither parent would pay. I don't know. It's just now like people digging into all this stuff that was going on as they were growing up. These poor kids went through a lot. Okay, everyone, I'm going to end this video here. That's all I have for you for right now. Everybody have a good night. Bye.